Our main rocket is basically blocked out and we have solid colors on there. We can add all sorts of crazy effects later, but let's select our entire rocket, all the different items we have. And another trick that I haven't showed you quite yet that would be really cool to kind of show you is being able to see the outlines, because right now you can't really see all the little outlines that we made to make all of these shapes. So if you ever want to see all of the paths and strokes that you've made or the outlines of all of your objects, you can go up to View and go down to Outline, and there's a little keyboard shortcut if you want to toggle that off and on. So I'm just going to go to Outline, and it's going to be able to show you all the outlines in your artwork. And when you're doing really complicated vector artwork, it's really nice to be able to switch this on and off to be able to see all of your different lines, because sometimes you may not be able to see it. It starts to get complicated. So being able to switch on and off from that mode is great, and that's called the outline mode, and you can access that by going to View and Outline. So once we confirmed we like everything and it's all center aligned and everything is lining up really nicely, let's select all of our objects. Go ahead and deselect. I don't need that dark background anymore. I'm going to group this into one main unit so I can go ahead and start building out our round seal badge. So what I want to do is I want to just get an ellipse tool. I'm going to hold down Shift to make a perfect circle, and I'm going to start to position this together. We don't want to have we're going to have a little bit of type around in kind of a seal badge like format. I guess you could even consider this a logo, but mostly kind of a decorative flat design vector badge. So we want to make sure we have room for typography to go around, and we also we want to have some good sizing and balance. So we want to make sure our rocket is not going to overpower our typography, and our typography is not going to overpower our rocket. So we have this nice balance between the two, and one's not too big. So we're going to kind of do some sizing here. And since I have smart guides on, it'll be able to snap right to the center of the object, or I can select both and just make sure I keep things nice and center aligned. So what I thought might be really neat is to kind of feature a couple of circles going outward and changing the colors to go darker as it goes outward, kind of like in this example. Thought that would add a nice effect without adding too much complexity to the artwork. So how do I do that? How do I make this circle just a little bit bigger? I can copy and paste it and try to size it up and get it all center aligned. Or I could do my offset path. So Object, Path, I'm going to offset the path. So we did this previously. I'm going to do a preview. Let's do, I'm in inches right now. We could just do a 6 maybe, or maybe a 5. So now we have that other circle that's created. We still have our original circle. So I can make this a little darker. Just like that. Let's do that again. And let's make this bigger because I want to put our typography around in a seal. So I want to make sure it's thick enough to have lots of breathing room for my typography. So let's do, for this one, let's do an 8. And let's change the colors and make them a little bit lighter. I need to have a little bit of a thicker line on the outside for my typography, but that's no big deal because I can select these inner circles, make it a little bit smaller, select all 3 of the circles. If I go up to my Align panel and do a center align, do all the center aligns all the way across. It'll align it vertically and horizontally, and everything is, all the circles are aligned like we did before. So one thing I want to do is I would love to have the rocket come out of the circle and break that circle a little bit to give it a sense of depth. So what I might do is I can either make the circle smaller or just go ahead and make this object a little bigger, have it punch out of the circle so the circle doesn't feel defining. You're punching through the circle and adding a sense of kind of this depth. And I want to have room to put some kind of smoke coming out the bottom. So let's see if I can't just kind of size this up. This is a big thing about logo design, is finding kind of that right balance to strike with alignment and leaving room for things and making sure we're not overwhelming with any one element. So let's quickly add some typography because I want to be able to add that before I do anything else to kind of see how it looks. So we're going to do the Space Force. I'm going to get our type tool And how do we add type on a circle? So there is a way to do this. We are going to add just do an ellipse tool, and we are going to do a type on path around the ellipse tool. So whatever shape we're going to make, the type is going to be able to go around that shape. So I'm going to create a stroke so I can kind of see where that shape is going to be going, and I'm going to make it a lighter color. And let's go ahead and slide this in. So our type will end up being right on the baseline of that line all the way around. So we're going to make it a little bit bigger, and kind of for right now put it right there in the middle of that outer band. Of course, we can center align all of our circles by highlighting them all and just making sure they are all aligned center. So let's go ahead and put our type on this path. We're going to go down to our type tool. We're going to click and hold and do the type on path tool. So we're going to click right here where we want the type to start. Let's say we want to have 2 words, space, and then over here force. So let's go ahead and click right here and go ahead and type in space, force. Let's of course highlight that and make it white. Let's make it much, much bigger. So I'm going to increase the font size on this. And let's find a really good typeface that would match kind of a futuristic look. We also need to probably adjust our circle type on path here. So I'm just going to hold down Shift and kind of make sure that's a little bit more inside that blue circle. We can also add a little bit of spacing between the types. So I'm just going to go up to my character panel right here and just add a little bit of tracking. And we'll do a lot of this later in the course as well. So let's type in something a little bit bigger. We can type in any number we want. So instead of 200, we can go a little bit higher and just do kind of 400 or so. Let's also do some manual spacing here so we can divide the words up just like this. And we want to make sure they're kind of even. So the bottom of the S and the bottom of the E are lined up together. So I'm just going to check that out using the rectangle tool. We can also go to View, turn on our rulers, show rulers, and we can always drag. That's another way to do it. We'll go ahead and turn this off. We can drag down and create a guide just to kind of see if it is even. And it looks like it is not. So I'm just going to rotate this until it is even. So I'm going to go to View. I'm going to turn off my guides. Just go to Guides and Hide Guides. So let's continue to find a type choice that's going to kind of go with our futuristic badge. We go for something really chunky, thin. We got to be careful about what typeface we choose, because if we go with something really traditional, it doesn't quite fit. I mean, it could work if you're going for a traditional look, but with a very futuristic name like Space Force, we might want to find a sans serif that works really good, and maybe chunky, a nice chunky sans serif. So here's kind of a unique one called Comrade. And we're going to use that one for right now because it's kind of got that nice chunky typeface. It's got a futuristic look to the typography, very simple and geometric. And we can make our type a little bit bigger. Now that we know what type choice we're going to go for, we're going to go into this a little bit more in the logo design section, kind of picking your typefaces and figuring out what works for the space. I'm just going to delete a few spaces, just sizing this out. So now that we have a good idea of our typography and our main subject matter, which is the spaceship, let's add a little bit of details. So we want to add a little bit of the smoke that comes out. So let's go ahead and delete our main photo. We no longer need that. Let's go ahead and align this in the center. And what we could do is create the smoke by combining several different objects using the Shape Builder tool to build the smoke plumes. So we're going to get the ellipse tool, and we're just going to create a series of circles to kind of emulate smoke. Just creating a couple of circles here. And they're going to get bigger as they go out from the spaceship. We're going to do the same thing here. They're going to get bigger as they go out from the spaceship. Let's make these a different color so you can take a look and see the difference between this and the background. Now we're going to take the pen tool and we're just going to draw kind of our jet smoke coming right directly out of the engine. So we're really just creating kind of a rectangle shape coming out of each engine, and the smoke is going to kind of come out from the engine. So just kind of making some adjustments with the smoke. We're going to end up combining all of these circles with a shape builder tool to build one cohesive little smoke plume. So now how do we trim this up? Because right now it just looks like a series of circles. How do we make this integrated within the badge itself? We're going to do the shape builder tool. I'm going to go ahead and select all objects. So you can select all my paths. I'm going to get the shape builder tool. I'm going to hold down Option or Alt and just delete everything outside of the circle. Just kind of trimming everything up nice and easy. Get anything left over as well. And what we could do as well is we have all the smoke in the background. We can bring one of these in front in the foreground to give it a layered look. So I'm just going to bring that forward in the layering system. I'm using a little shortcut Command right bracket to kind of bring it forward in the layering system. Or of course you could do it within your layers this way. Uncollapse the layer. Bring that all the way up above that element. So we have one behind and one below. It kind of makes it a little more interactive.